Are you ready to connect with the core of yourself and your practice? Join over 400 professionals at the 78th Illinois Counseling Association Annual Conference in Oak Brook, Illinois, November 5th through 7th. This year's theme is Being Human, featuring an exclusive pre-conference with me, private practice innovator Joe Sanok, plus tons of different sessions on women's mental health and on therapeutic tools. You're going to earn CEs, have buffet lunches, and network at the welcome reception with me. Even get free professional headshots. Register over at ilcounseling.org. Again, that's ilcounseling.org by August 31st to secure your early bird discount. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1405. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast, where we help you build a thriving private practice you absolutely love. As many of you have been following, we have been building Great Lakes online counseling over the last half year or so. We spent the first probably 3 months of that really just learning about group practice, making sure that we had all the nuts and bolts going. And then really the last couple months has been when we've been building the website, getting all the infrastructure built, hiring our first clinician, and then now starting to promote it. So promote them and promote the practice overall. So I'm here with Jen, our intake coordinator and superstar of everything private practice behind the scenes. Jen, how are you today?
I am good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. My brother's been in town, and so there's been a lot of family time. We had the National Cherry Festival, which it like takes over our town. People coming
Oh,
in,
wow.
fireworks, air shows, carnival. So it's a lot of there's a love-hate relationship with that in our community where people feel like, oh my gosh, it's so busy, but I'm like, it's all these people coming to our town, spending money and having
Exactly.
fun. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So what about you? How's winter going down there?
Um, I'm looking outside now and it's getting overcast and a little bit chilly. I think there is some rain coming. But it's been cold, but not too bad.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit here.
that is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. So, um, yeah, well, I know you have a lot on our list that we need to talk about, and I've got a bunch as well. And so, looking forward to diving in and hearing what we're working on.
Great. So I did make a few notes, and obviously there will be some things repeated from what we've said in the past, but obviously just to, update and see where the process is going. Um, So the first thing that I have, which I think would be the most important next step for us, would obviously be the Google Ads. And I know
Mhm.
that you have been in communication with Mike. I don't know if you want to just explain what that situation is, and then I can continue that.
Yeah, so fullybookedpros.com/Joe. So Fully Booked Pros is a company that we've worked with. We've known Mike for a couple years. He coordinates really well with session sites, and they just really do a great job of coordinating the Google ads with the website to make sure that copy is really strong. And so we reached out to Mike and said, hey, would you waive your monthly fee for a bit for us to do some Google ads? And he said, yeah, like would love to have some promo on the podcast. So for 4 months, he's going to be managing that in exchange for us just sharing his name here on the podcast. And then we'll be sharing with you our exact budget beyond that. So typically, a Google Ads specialist is going to be between $400 and $600 a month. And so we're going to look at the ROI of that for 4 months and then see, are we getting new clients through those Google Ads? And then if we are, then we'll talk about that. If we're not, we'll talk about that. So we're going to get started with Mike. My next step is to schedule our onboarding. Actually, I think that's Jen's next step, probably. I don't know how much I have to be involved in that. And then we'll talk about the budget and move forward on that. So what else do you need from me in regards to Mike?
So obviously, like you say, scheduling that onboarding meeting, I think it would be helpful in terms of having you there just to see what you want to specifically target. Obviously, I know
Yeah,
he's the expert in the Google Ads. I do have a slight bit of background in that, but not extensive.
yeah.
So just that you also have like a touch on what is going on behind the scenes, just so that you also, have your finger in there.
Yeah.
but
I think we should
nothing
do that as
fundamental.
one of these podcast episodes. I think that would make sense to show people behind the scenes what like an onboarding for, doing pay per click and the kind of questions that Mike would ask. So if you don't mind
Sure.
coordinating a time that we can just do it, as one of our weekly check-ins, that'd be awesome.
Perfect. I can definitely do that. So yeah, that was in tying in with the Google ads would obviously be social media and the blog posts. So in
Hmm.
terms of social media, I am trying to post twice a week. I know that you are busy making some content, so just fresh content that makes it a little bit more personal, lets people see you, hear you, what you have to say. And in terms of that, I'm also doing extensive research in terms of paid ad and boosting the ads on social media.
Mm.
I do have quite a few friends that have their own businesses that are, their main marketing source is social media. So just getting their intake on that and how they, have seen an improvement in whatever industry that they are in. So that is definitely something that I am working on. And then the blog posts. So just creating like a batch at a time that you can schedule them to get posted every week. But in those blog posts, focusing specifically on your SEO, your meta description, and your search keywords. So obviously so when people, for an example, search like therapist near me or therapist in Michigan, telehealth, etc., those keywords will like trigger them to get to the Great Lakes site. So that's
Mm.
my main focus at the moment is just getting our name out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. When you tell me more about the SEO, because I know a lot of people here maybe don't know the ins and outs that you said meta description. You said a lot of definitions there that I know what they mean, but will
Mhm.
you explain what those mean for the audience?
So basically, the SEO would be like the trigger words that when people search for something, it will find in your blog posts, in your articles, and like I mentioned when I listened to that Therasas conference the other night. They were just explaining how, like even in your newsletters, like the specific headings that you use, that also triggers something. So I think to make sure that you're using the right headers in your blogs and your newsletters. And then also like the meta description would be so when you Google something and then something will come up in blue, the headline. So what that meta description is and how those keywords trigger certain searches on Google. And then obviously those would be the search words as well. So when you're creating like a blog post or a newsletter, you can do like an internal link which will take
Mm.
someone to a page in your website, or you can do an external link. So if someone wants to find out what the description of a certain word is, they can click that link and it will take them to an external link. So it's just like the flow of the internet, should I say.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's a great way to describe it for people.
Perfect.
Awesome. What else is on your list of stuff we need to talk about? And then I've got my list.
Okay. Sure. I know I'm jumping around, but like I said, I just made a note of everything that we needed to discuss. So I'm just following
Yes.
that.
Love it.
Um, I received an email, so I'm not quite sure, which I think this could be quite nice to just clarify. An email from Gusto to say that it's almost time to run payroll. So I'm not
Okay.
sure how that would work, like if it's just something that I go in and approve, if it's something you need to
Hmm.
approve, if Rachel's added in time.
Yeah, so I would say having you go in and look at that, and then us just double check to make sure that that aligns with her contract, and we can just do
Hmm.
that over a quick text.
Sure.
But I know we were waiting on the California approval, so we'll want to make sure. I think that's probably something that you can check in with Gusto on to say, like, are we all set with the California approval and having that go through? Because we had to fill out some extra paperwork for that. So we just want to double check with Gusto on are we all set with California taxes? We want to do it right. We want to make sure that all that is paid right. So she's licensed in Michigan but lives in California, and so we have to follow all that California law for that. Um, that was the only thing we were waiting on, and she's been just keeping track of her hours for her non-clinical hours.
Yes.
And she and I are having conversations every other week or so, just to stay in contact, to make sure that she knows like here's some of the snafus. She actually brought up a number of the things around Headway that we had talked about in previous things, and even in the last week, as I follow folks, with Alma and Headway, and then
Mhm.
the purchasing of CAQH and data and a lot of folks investing in kind of mental health care platforms. That is one thing I want to talk about, is really actively looking for a credentialer to get her credentialed under us so that we can be separate from Headway, but then also allow Headway to be part of our income stream as well. So we can talk about that when we get to my list.
Sure. I think that was actually something I had on mind too with regards to the credentialing. So that's great. And then just an update. I know we spoke about this last week, but I did send our headshots and our bios over to Tom, who I think is going to make a separate page on the website. So something like Meet Our Team or This Is Us. I also think that
Perfect.
adds quite a nice personal aspect so that people can put a face to a name when they're either emailing or phoning. So I really like that aspect of that. And then just on Tom, I also reached out to ask, because I know we spoke about networking and having a Calendly link that's connected to both your email addresses. So I've reached out to see if that is possible so that people will be able to book on your Great Lakes email address, but it's also blocking the time out on your practice of the
Mm.
practice so that it doesn't get mixed up. So I'm just waiting for feedback on that.
And that was
And
for the networking, correct?
yes, so the
Okay.
networking also
I just
I'm
wanted to
waiting.
clarify that because some people might think, oh, like they're using Calendly for protected health information. We just want to make sure that like we are using something secure. But yeah,
Yes,
I just wanted to clarify for the listener that we're
perfect.
not talking clients, we're talking networking.
Networking, yes. And then on that networking, it would also just be the rack card. So obviously, we went through our little script that we were going to send over. And instead, if they didn't want to have a meeting, we would send through a rack card. So once that's finalized, I'll be able to mail it if that's the option that the people choose who we're networking.
Great. Something I hear over and over from practice owners in the Practice Academy is the one class I never was taught in grad school was how to run my business. And honestly, I felt that same thing. It's not a personal failing, but it's a gap in how we train clinicians. You build something that's real, your private practice, and nobody handed you a playbook for intake, billing, team management, or what it actually takes to scale past a handful of clinicians. That's what Valent is built for. Valent is the EHR designed exclusively for behavioral health group practices. With 2 decades of experience, 13 million clients engaging in their EMR, and 28,000 providers using their platform, Valent offers the tools that close the gap in your documentation, billing, and operations. Also, they include AI that handles the admin work so that your team will stay focused on your clients. Valent created a free interactive resource specifically for group practice owners like you. It's called Breaking Through the Growth Ceiling. It's called Breaking Through the Growth Ceiling. In literally 5 minutes, it pinpoints your biggest bottleneck right now with a 90-day playbook to fix it. It is awesome. So if you want to break through the ceiling of growth that you feel like you just haven't been able to break through, grab that for free over at valent.io/Joe. That's valent.io/Joe. Valent is spelled VALANT.io/Joe. Why don't I talk about the rack cards while you just brought that up?
Sure.
I have been so frustrated with ChatGPT and Claude. So we had a great design at the beginning, gave some really good information. They designed it. It wasn't lining up in regards to like the size that I needed for
Mhm.
Vistaprint. And then every time I give it the size that I want, it then changes some design in it, like, or it makes, some letters be on top of the photo, but then it's like too dark to read. And so I finally have the back of the rack cards done.
Oh, great.
It's funny, we think about AI as saving us all this time, but honestly, Jen, if I think I had you just use Canva, because you had something pretty similar,
Mhm.
if I
Yeah,
had just had you use Canva like, 2 weeks ago, we would be farther ahead on this. So,
I
um,
agree. I'm
so yeah,
struggling with it too.
I feel like lately it's like even Claire, my partner, was working on a paper for her grad school program, and they wanted them to use AI to take this paper and then design it to make it look pretty. And so they're trying to like use AI, and that was like part of the assignment. And she was done with the paper at like noon and didn't finish the AI portion of it till like 5 or 6 p.m. It was like six
Oh,
hours
wow.
of her fighting with AI.
Yep.
So I think that sometimes we're putting too many eggs in that basket right now and need to just go back to kind of the gritty humans.
Exactly. Sometimes it is better just to do it yourself. I agree. If it was done in Canva, we probably would have fixed one or two things here and it would have been done. So,
Yeah. So I'm working
Amazing.
on that. I feel like the final version is so close that
Mhm.
I'll probably put in another 20 minutes into that and then get those ordered with Vistaprint. So.
Great. Sounds good. And then there's just one point, but I think we can talk about that at the end. It's just a discussion point. But yeah, my last one was also just the credentialing and what was needed there, because I know that we had on our to discuss on the Trello board was looking into doing our own credentialing and billing. So if you can just explain a little bit about that, what you need from me, how I can go about that.
Yeah, so I had texted Jeremy Zug, who owns Practice Solutions, which is a billing company that I've trusted for years. They've done a really great job with a lot of our clients we've sent them, and just said, is there a credentialer? I don't want to say their name publicly because we haven't used them. I haven't met them yet. I want to make sure that like there's someone we can stand behind. But Jen, I'll send you their information to follow up with them to say, here's what we're looking at getting credentialed in Michigan, and then kind of explain the situation, and then kind of get a cost from them. So we get a quote as to how much that would be. When we signed up for our NPI2, I daily get 3 to 5 people saying, we can credential you, we can credential you. My worry is that maybe they won't do something correctly. And it's like if Jeremy knows someone that does it really well, I'd rather pay a little extra money to make sure it's done right to save ourselves that hassle. So I do think that that's the next step of us really kind of owning those contracts, making sure that we aren't just going through like Headway or Alma or any of the larger companies that we have honestly supported here on the podcast. And
Mhm.
as we dig into them, we're being honest about what we're experiencing and seeing. And I think it's smart for us to also have concurrent contracts too.
I don't know if you maybe just want to explain why I think, if you allow to and you want to, why you wanting to do your own one and not keep it on Headway.
Yeah, so a lot of what I'm reading is just it seems like Headway is looking at moving towards an initial public offering. That seems to be like the direction that most of these companies will go. That's not really a secret. And I think as we see insurance companies purchasing CAQH, and as we see them cutting the limited license people off of a lot of these or doing supervisory billing. I know that insurance companies are going to try to cut corners as much as possible anyway. It does seem like more and more of these platforms are aligning themselves with the insurance companies. And one of my, I don't even know if I'd say fear, one of my concerns is that for Great Lakes Online Counseling, if we have all of our eggs in that basket instead of also having our own contracts, that say they decide to cut rates, say they decide to change things, that then isn't going to allow us the autonomy we want with Great Lakes Online Counseling for us to directly negotiate with the insurance companies on our own behalf. And then because they allow us to do that, it's almost like an A/B testing when you do marketing. So it's like you're doing some of the Facebook ads that we're talking about. We're going to have Mike do some of the Google ads that we're talking about. We want to see, like, say, Jen, you spend $100 and he spends $1,000 and we get the same number of clients. Well, we should just keep doing Facebook and Meta ads rather than just Google. So I kind of see it like that. Like thus far, we've been on Headway for what, a month or two and haven't got any clients directly from them. And so it's just kind of that A/B testing of looking at how do we best do this. I do think we're going to have to make sure that when we do that, that our calendars are aligned with a electronic health record instead of it all going through like a Headway for the calendar scheduling like we have right now. But to me, it's like this is going to slow down this project, but I want to make sure we do it right. And part of this is that public learning of saying we're going through all these different things, and that's so that the listener, hopefully, in following our journey, can save some time as they build their group practice.
Definitely. Okay, great. Okay, perfect. You want to start with your list?
Yeah, let me pull up Trello just so I don't forget anything. Those of you that are new to this show, we've been building this practice and using Trello to just stay organized. So in there we have our to discuss list. We have our Jen to do, Jen doing, Joe to do, Joe doing, our done list, and our tools and standard operating procedures in there. So the ketamine assisted therapy, this was to discuss. So we've signed the contract with Journey Clinical to allow us to have, I think it's up to 5 of our clinicians go through their program to get certified to do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. And then we'd be able to work with their psychiatrist on that. And so we can start looking into I think one thing I want to know is how long that will take for them to be a part of that. Like, if we're going to pay Rachel to go through 10 hours, and then with her non-clinical rate, we want to know, okay, we're investing this much money to
Yeah.
help her get certified as a ketamine-assisted psychotherapist. And I as well want to go through that program just to really see it, just, for personal interest as well.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that we'll just want to like look at, and maybe it's something that me and Rachel just go through together and then discuss it. So I'd say me and Rachel will talk about that in our next thing. I don't think there's much for you to do, Jen, because I already have that relationship with Journey Clinical. And then their psychiatrist would be the one that legally is able to prescribe the ketamine. And then we go through the online ketamine assisted psychotherapy protocol. So we'd be doing it all legally, all under FDA approval. So I want to just clarify that because a lot of psychedelic medicine is kind of underground. And this is not, this is above ground, this is FDA approved, this is fully legal. And we want to make sure that we're doing that, especially because we're, talking publicly about it and training you guys all in this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that. Actually, I'm going to move that over to Joe to do. And the ketamine assisted therapy page, let's move that off of, or let's leave that on to discuss. Because once we figure that out, when Rachel's good to go, then we can build out that page.
Okay. Sure.
Review business card and flyer. I'm
So
not
I
sure. I don't
think,
remember.
yeah, I think that we were just focusing more on the rack card for now. So that's
Yeah.
something that will come in the long term.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. I would say right now, I don't think business cards are that useful.
Mm.
Maybe I'll change my mind on that, but and then doing our own credentialing and billing. So I'm gonna move that over to Jen to do. I'll get you right after this call, that information that Jeremy sent me. Actually, let me
Perfect.
do that on right now. I will text that to you. Give me just a second here to get Jeremy's. All right. I am sending this through right now. And just text me back if there's any questions on that.
Sure.
All right, so that's all good. Um, the Michigan Child Support Calculator, that's something I'm going to be working on the code for still. I think that would be a nice blog post. And let me put Rack Card into, I'm doing that.
Hmm.
Fully booked pros. I'm going to move that back over to Jen doing because you're going to schedule a time for all three of us to talk on the podcast.
Yes.
And then for the video content, I had blocked out yesterday, but unfortunately, having an Airbnb, I had some things come up with my Airbnb that we've got some flooding out there that I had to take care of before the guests arrived at 4 o'clock. So, that's just how my life is right now. I'm questioning whether
That's
I want to
life.
even be in the Airbnb industry anymore. I'm just like, I hate this.
Oh no.
But that's a whole nother podcast, leaving
Yep.
Airbnb. So, I think when I look ahead, I mean, I do think that even if we don't have the rack cards, I think we're at the point of you starting to set up appointments with me. If we can get the Calendly
Sure.
set up as soon as possible, even if we right now can't have it directly integrate with both calendars, you'll see that come in when someone schedules a time with me. And then if you wanted to just quickly block that out into the other calendar, I think the easiest way to do it would be, I wonder if with Calendly we can invite Joe at Practice of the Practice as like a second person, if that would then block it out in there. Um, so I think that could be a way to work around it if Calendly doesn't do that. Um, or the option is we could just do it with Joe at Practice of the Practice. I know for the most
I
part we
was
want to have
thinking
it
that.
be under Great Lakes Online Counseling, but for right now, maybe it makes sense to just use my Calendly that I already have set up to speed things up.
Yes. Sure. If that is the
Um,
case, do you mind just sending me that link, please?
Yeah, why don't you first just see if there's a way that we can block out two
Okay.
calendars, or if there's a way that we can always have Great Lakes Online Counseling calendar and the Practice the Practice calendar. Can they always sync to each other to block
Hmm.
out the other? I bet there's a way that we could have that just always be the rule. I'm sure I'm
Sure.
not the only person with two calendars.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, so and then I think that we're definitely at that point that we can start doing those connections because I want to start getting some referrals to Rachel as soon as possible.
Okay. Mm. Just on Rachel and clinicians, I might be jumping the gun here, but what are your thoughts on starting to look at hiring someone else as
It's
well?
funny you say that because I totally had the same thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking like who would be different than her? Like what type of specialties, what kind of background? So, yeah, I think that we're at a point that we could put together another job description and get them hired too. I would want to talk to her about that
Okay.
to make sure that she knows that it's not just because we haven't got her clients yet. I think we'd also want to have that credentialing figured out as to
Yes.
how we're doing that so that we can get like two people credentialed at once or three people credentialed at once.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. So maybe for next time, let me put in the Trello. Let's just put in the to discuss next hire. Um, and we'll talk about that. I think we'll want to start to see, as people come in, are there specialties that we can't serve that we would want to hire around?
Mhm.
I think we'd want to have at least our first client before we start hiring the second person.
Yes. So the only reason, obviously, like you say, speak to Rachel before to let her know it's nothing to do with her in terms of why we want someone else added. It's also just in terms of her availability, which is she is
Yeah.
available only on a Thursday. So it does limit it quite a lot in terms of getting people in.
Yeah. And that makes sense given that we're, in newer practice and aren't
Yes.
offering like full-time or part-time. But yeah, sounds great. Thank you everyone for listening today. You've been hanging out with us here on the Practice of the Practice podcast. If you're enjoying this series, we would love for you to share it with other people. We have so many just great ideas coming up and are really excited about just what's happening with Great Lakes Online Counseling. Also, we couldn't do this show without our sponsors. Hey, special thanks to Valent today for sponsoring this show. They put together an amazing resource. It's going to take you 5 minutes to quickly evaluate what's stopping your growth. It's going to pinpoint your biggest bottlenecks right now and give you a 90-day playbook to fix it. You can download that totally free over at valent.io/Joe. That's VALANT.io/Joe to grab that resource. Thank you for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.